Okay.
We're recording.
Lovely. Thank you. Okay, you guys. So welcome to the team call. I'm just really excited to be on here all together because I know we just have them every 2 weeks, but it just feels so good to all come together because I think we're all right now in really similar spots in our businesses. And yeah, it's just really great to share ideas. And I'm really proud of you guys for getting on here. I mentioned this in the team message today, but there's a really cool quote that says, not everyone on the calls has a Mercedes, but everyone who has a Mercedes gets on team calls. And it's really true. So if you're plugging in like that, it's like the best thing you can be doing for your business right now. Especially for those of you who are new. Some of you are on here and a lot of you I think are watching the recording. That is huge when you first get started. And then for those of you who are ready to go to the next level in your business, which is also a lot of us, these are just crucial. So let's go over updates. We'll go over some training topics. I have some people sharing because I know you guys don't want to hear me blabber on forever. And then we'll open it up for questions, especially if we have lots of time at the end. So here are our updates. So last month, I think it wasn't our number one month, but it was probably our second best month we've ever had as a team, which was really exciting. We had over 25 new people join this team as a consultant or as a client. It's a huge deal, you guys. Think about that in 1 month. So that's really exciting. And even if maybe not all those people were, on your team or your clients, you can still share that with people. You can still tell people this is the team to be a part of. We're on fire. We know how to do this. Because the wave is just growing. This momentum wave is growing. So that's really exciting. Something I do want to touch on, and a couple of you were totally champs and you stuck it out with me till the very end on close night. So you go, guys. But I do want to just touch on this because this is really, really important. So nobody's in trouble by any means, but we did have some uplines that were close to bonusing in their business. And some people called close night quits really early. And you guys, I watched their stats and our stats go up thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of stats go in at the very last minute. It's very normal at the end of the month. So just get into a habit of staying up until the system closes because you'll be amazed at what happens. And basically, you want to create that habit so that when you have a team, everybody closes strong together because the end of the month gets really big. So I just want to touch on that. No one's in trouble by any means, but I was this is something that I don't think I've talked about for a while that would probably be good to talk about with everybody. So congratulations on last month, though. I'm so pumped about it. And we have some new teammates on our team. And if Bobby Happ's back on, I definitely would love for her to just kind of say hello and say where she's from and everything. But we have a new teammate named Bobby on our team, and Alyssa sponsored her. And she is the sweetest lady ever. My mom actually went out to coffee with her, and she's just so excited for her to be a part of our team. So welcome, Bobby, if you're seeing this recording. And then also Rachel's mom started on our Arbonne team, which is so fun. We really have kind of a wide range of ages now. So use that as a reason to talk to your mom or your friend or whoever it is, because we're just really excited to be really working with all kinds of people on our team. So welcome to Natalie. We're really excited to have you on the team too, if you're watching this recording. So let's hop into Arbonne updates. You might have heard some of these. If you haven't, though, they're really good, so they're worth going over again. So there's a new product. There's the Night Gelée Cream as a part of the new prep work set that they're releasing. I'm very pumped about that. It may sell out soon, so get it quickly. The other thing is that the sign-up fees are waived. I think we all know that too, but basically, if anyone places a 150 QV order, their preferred client sign-up fee that's normally $29 is waived. That's a huge deal. I'm just going to stop right there, you guys. That's a prep work set. That's a 10-day cleanse. That's the 30-day. That's the RE9. All of those qualify for a free PC sign-up. And this has only happened once ever in Arbonne that I ever know of. So the fact that it's coming out again is a really big deal, but I really don't know if they'll ever bring it back again. So it's a huge reason to follow up with people this month if they've been looking at Arbonne for the past few months, because I don't know if they'll ever get that order that cheap again. So it's definitely a reason to reach out to people. And then, of course, with the 500 QV, you get also your consultant fee waived to start a business. So I want to talk about this because that sounds kind of like a big number, but you're getting 35% off of that, right? So that's like 300 or whatever. And you guys, you can get a fit kit and you can get like an RE9 set, or you can get like a fit kit and then you can get like the prep work set, and then you can get like mascara, and it counts as your qualifying order. And people usually get that stuff or some of those skincare, makeup, nutrition things anyways in the first few months of their business. So it's actually like a really good deal. And don't be afraid to talk to people about it and kind of break it down like that for them, because they probably just don't really understand what that means. So again, that's only happened once ever that I know of in the history of Arbonne. So it may not happen again. It's a reason to reach out to people. Okay, also, real quick update, it sounds like everyone who's on the wait list to go to GTC is actually going to get to go, which is like a huge deal. I'm super excited. Be checking your emails. I know for sure there's one teammate of ours that I think is going to be able to come because of that, so yay. A couple of other people talked about bringing boyfriends or other people, and they just didn't register them yet. It sounds like after the wait list is like filled, they'll open registration up again. So if you wanted to bring someone, it sounds like you may be able to do that. Just like stay on the lookout for it. So that's super exciting. Also, the virtual conference is now open for registration. It's $99, and I would probably pay that like 300 times over because it's really, really good. And I know some of you did that last year. You get Rachel Hollis's keynote speech. Like, honestly, just that is probably worth $99 times 10. So it's going to be awesome. And the cool thing is, too, is if you're going in person, you actually get the virtual conference access. So you will get the same thing that someone else got if they registered for the virtual conference. If you want to go watch trainings over and over and over again, that's also another reason to register, because it's just so nice to have all of that right there. It's not just live and ends. It's like you have like access to all of these trainings. So excited. I feel like I just am like talking, but there's a lot of good stuff happening. Okay, next thing is that you can get the RE9 travel set with a order worth 300 QD. So if you're placing an order this month, definitely try to get it to the 300 mark to get the travel set for the RE9. Those are super nice to have. And then here's my last reminder, and then we'll jump into the topic for this evening. But I wanted to give you guys a reminder, not on like updates necessarily, but it's just like a general rule of thumb. So since there's a lot of new people in our business, and also because I know it's really hard sometimes to come up with like original content, I've noticed that we haven't been following the 1-to-3/1-to-4 ratio of posting about Arbonne. I'm sometimes totally guilty of it too, you guys, but I just want to challenge you all to make sure that you're posting things that aren't Arbonne, like especially in between things, because we don't want to be known as people that just post Arbonne on our story or just post about Arbonne, you know, on our social media. And I also really want to encourage you guys to be you. Now, there's some really genius stories out there, and I totally get why we want to share them. And I think every once in a while that's fine if it's a really high quality story. That's okay. But if that's all you're posting when you're posting Arbonne, let's get a little bit more creative. If you need help with it, let your upline know. But I just want to make sure we're really still on point with our social media game. So I'll work on that myself too, you guys. Okay, so that's my reminder. Those are my updates. Any other updates or reminders for anybody that I might have missed? Okay, then we'll move on to this training part. So here's the two things I want to talk about tonight, and to get really real about, because I think it's going to be encouraging for everyone on this call, okay? The number one thing that I want to talk about is what we're doing when no one is watching us. And then I also kind of want to talk about, when you're getting started in your business. But okay, so here's what I just have to say on this topic, and then I'm going to have some people share. So here's the dealio. I know that I would not be where I am today if I didn't do work when no one was watching me. So there's definitely times where people are seeing you work, right? So like when you're working with your upline, when you're working with your team, when you're at a conference, when you're posting on your social media, and that's amazing. But you guys, so much has happened behind the scene in my business that no one has saw. And if I was waiting or relying on other people to make that happen, I probably wouldn't be an area manager right now. And it really makes or breaks your business. At the beginning of your business, of course, for the first few months, you're wanting to get really good at verbiage, and who to reach out to, getting our system down. That's totally okay. Like, you want to feel really confident in that. But what I want to challenge you guys to do is, after you've done that for a few months, start just taking the initiative and going for it. Because the basic system, right? It might not be exactly perfect or whatnot, but you've definitely got the basics down. I just want to give you guys the freedom to go for it and not wait on someone to do that. And I want to encourage you, if you are like in a spot where you're like, you know what, I don't totally know what to say, I am still a little bit new and I'm a little bit nervous, I want to challenge you guys to reach out to your upline with that message and with that person. Don't wait for them to contact you about what you're doing, because you guys, some people in Arbonne don't even have an upline. Their upline quits. That would be awful. I hope that doesn't happen to anyone on our team, but it happens, you guys, and those people are still successful because it's not up to your upline, it's not up to your downline, it's not up to anyone except for you to do that. So Alyssa, I would love if you would share a little bit with us about what that looks like, because you're really good at doing this too. So if you have anything to say about that, I would love to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry if my voice is a little weak. I got my tonsils out last week, so I'm still recovering from that. But yeah, I'd like to share on this. I actually have a Post-it note on my fridge that says "Do the work when no one is watching," just because it's an awesome reminder of, like, if I'm just here and I'm sitting here and like I don't have another job, so Arbonne is everything that I spend my time on. And so if I'm here and I'm sitting here and I can view that little note, it reminds me, like, okay, these are the moments that count. These are the little small moments that no one is going to see, but in however long, when I'm earning my Mercedes-Benz, when I'm walking across the GTC stage, whatever those big moments are, people are going to see that, and they're going to have no idea the hard work that we put in these little moments when we're literally sitting at our kitchen table or on our couch doing the work behind the scenes. And so I think what that means is, that's so true. You have to kind of get out of this mindset, and I'm guilty of this too, if I'm like, oh, okay, I posted something on Instagram today, I'm good. You have to get out of that mindset that it's like, oh yeah, I don't know, whatever it is. I showed how to make a shake, or I showed, blah, blah, blah. You have to actually be doing the activity outside of what you're just doing in your everyday life. You have to go beyond that. You have to reach out to people, and you have to share with people. And so it's like we say all the time, like, you have to do the activity so that you will get to those big moments, because you're not going to get to the big moments unless you have the small ones at home. And those are that's what makes your business, literally. And so I'm really on myself too. And I forget, maybe Emily, you reminded us of this, but I think you sent it in a voice message the other night, but you were like, maybe that means you're not watching your favorite episode of this. And I was like, oh shoot, that's me. I'm guilty. Maybe you're not watching your favorite episode of this, or maybe you're not spending 10 minutes scrolling through Instagram, which I know we all do, but it's kind of jumping that fence of okay, here I am. I'm going to jump the fence, and I'm going to push into that mindset of doing the activity rather than just thinking about it, and even going beyond that and doing more than you think you can do. I hope that helps a little bit. But those are just some things, whether it's, kind of maybe you at the beginning of the week, you're like, this is what I'm going to do every week. Monday, I'm going to make my list. Tuesday, I'm going to drizzle. Wednesday, I'm going to send out these asks. Like maybe that works for you, or maybe just going into it day by day, saying this is what I'm going to do today, and then actually doing it. And having someone hold you accountable for that, I think really helps as well. So
yes,
that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Thank you, Alyssa. No, and I totally agree. Everything you said was so spot on. And thank you for sharing, even though you just got your tonsils out.
Oh, that's fine. I'm going to get more water before I talk again.
Yes, definitely. But yeah, and I thought of a few things when you were talking about that. One is that you guys, a lot of us are getting teammates. That's super exciting, but do not go into coaching mode, okay? If you go into coaching mode, what's going to happen is you're not going to work your personal business. Your team's not going to see you personally sponsoring, and they're also going to not see you getting clients, and so they're going to have no idea how to do it. And so you're replicating nothing. It's always really important to be building your personal business. And I promise you, your team is going to get so much more out of you kicking booty at talking to new people about products in the business and watching you do well, because they will be inspired and ask you, how are you doing this? Rather than you saying, hey, what are you doing this month? You need to be doing this, and just checking in on them all the time. Does that make sense? Like, it's way better to do the other route, honestly. Another thing is that, like, you guys, we see people's highlight reels all day long on social. That's why I was telling people, like, take a break from Instagram. If you're doing this, like, comparing thing, like, sometimes following people is inspiring, and that's great if you're getting inspiration from it. But if it's not inspiring you and you're just comparing your lowlights of your business to their highlights of your business, it's going to be really difficult. And I highly recommend taking a break from it, because you guys, do you know that everything that you've experienced that's difficult and National Vice President has experienced, but probably like times 100, they've all experienced it. They just don't talk about it, because it's not something that you talk about on your social media, but they've experienced the same things. I've experienced the same things too. And I think it's totally fine to, like, work through with your coach, but I just want to let you guys know that you're not alone in it, and dealing with that stuff behind the scenes when no one's watching. It's all about what happens when no one's watching is where you succeed or fail in your business, honestly. So thank you for sharing on that. I thought I had one other thing, and I'm totally blanking on what it was, but I'll think of it in a second. But I'll just move on to the second thing that I wanted to go over. And this is more for people who are relatively new in Arbonne, or even if you're not new in Arbonne, because what it is the topic of not quitting before payday, you guys. So it's really normal to get into a cycle of 90 days of activity. What I mean by 90 days of activity, I mean for 3 months consecutively, they have to be consecutively, you talk to 30 people about the business and the products. You can't do 15 of one and 15 of the other. That also doesn't count. You can do 30 of both or 30 of each, but at some point in time, a new person needs to hear about the business or the products, and that needs to happen 30 times throughout the month for it to count as an active month in Arbonne. And what's really funny, you guys, was when I started my business, I was like, no one actually does that though, right? Like, I don't know how you would do those numbers. Like, that's seriously like how I felt. But then after I got sick and tired of where I was at in my business, I did that. And it was powerful. Like, I was like, what the heck? Like, why haven't I been doing this all along? So whatever you need to do to make that happen, if it's to meet new people, to build up your social, to start drizzling more, do that. You will be so glad you do. But with that being said, in those 3 months, when you are committed to actively building your Arbonne business for 90 days, it gets really hard at the end of month 1 and in month 2 and in month 3, because all of a sudden, especially if you're getting started, you have spent a lot of time learning about your website and learning about Arbonne and figuring out how to place orders and figuring out specials and terms, and you're learning about training, and you're spending a lot of time thinking about Arbonne. Some of it's necessary too, right? Because we have to learn. There's such a learning curve in this business. And it's really normal for people to be like, well, I just don't see something yet. And I think it's totally okay to feel discouraged, but do not quit before payday, you guys. And that also goes for those of you who are ready to promote. If you're ready to go district and you're pushing for that right now and you're doing your 90 days, it might not feel like things are happening, but I promise you, if you're doing those 3 months with those 30 new people, after those 3 months, you will see the paycheck. And if you don't, then we can have a conversation, because it's rare and there's some things we can work through, but it is very, very, very likely that that will happen. So, and same for those of you who are going from district to area, which I know a lot of you are doing right now, because we basically committed to these 90 days before GTC. And I've felt this too. It's so funny. I've done 90-day periods, I don't know how many times. And I tell James when I'm doing them, and it's so funny because at like the end of month 1 and during month 2, month 3, I'm like, I'm so tired, nothing's happening. Like the same things that I've said all those times before. And then after the 3 months, I'm like, wow, I'm so glad that I did the work. So I just think that's absolutely like crazy that it really does work that way, but you'll hear people talk about it a lot. So the last 2 things I want to say, and then I want Alyssa to kind of talk about what it was like for her and her starting up her business too, is that it takes 9 to 12 exposures to Arbonne before someone purchases or joins the business. I also don't think social media counts in that, you guys. I'm pretty sure when they say 9 to 12, I really think they mean personal exchanges about Arbonne, 9 to 12. So, of course, if you're starting your business right now, it's going to take a little while to pick up because you're starting those first ones. So it's very normal. There's nothing wrong with anyone on this team at all. It's just what happens when you get started. So know that. And then what I'm going to do right now too is I want to turn over to Alyssa, because I think right now we're seeing a lot of promotions happen. It's this thing happening on social media. It's very exciting because Arbonne is going places. Everyone will know Arbonne. It's on its way to becoming the #1 network marketing company, like in all network marketing companies. That's a huge deal. But I want to talk about the fact that some people have a really not super quick journey in Arbonne. Those are the ones that you see all over social media, and it's really exciting. But you guys, like, I've been doing Arbonne for years, and Alyssa's been doing Arbonne for a year now. And so I wanted her to share a little bit with you about how she built up her business in a wonderful way too. It was really consistent, but we didn't have hundreds of clients joining or anything like that. So Alyssa, do you kind of want to share about like what those like first few months were like and what you were thinking and what that was like?
Yeah, for sure. I think all that is so true. And she's right. Like we do see all of the I was thinking about this today when you asked me to share about it. Like you see all of the girls our age right now on social media who are promoting, and you're like, oh my gosh, how are they doing it? And then I was thinking about all of the MVPs in the last 40 years. Like a lot of that we don't see, right? Because one, we didn't have social media, and I was like, dang, they've been working their butt off before social media was even a thing, and they did it, and there are so many things that we haven't seen. So to just look at this little percentage of like people who are promoting, which is awesome, but we can't get into that comparison game, which is kind of like what we went back to. So yes, I'll talk a little bit about like what my first 6 months were like or whatever. And then I pulled out like 5 things that I just encourage people to do when looking back on my last year and like kind of what I did that I think really helped me and that like Emily and our upline taught me to do. And so I just pulled out like 5 random things. But I think in my first like 3 months or so I started my business in March of last year, so about a year ago. And, I had used the products before, so I was super excited. I was like jumping in. I'm ready to get signed up. And I like got on, Zoomed with Emily, got my website, and then end the Zoom. And it's like, okay, what now? And you don't really know what to do. And you're like, shoot, I've never done this before. What am I getting myself into? And so at first it was a lot of like, I didn't even do a virtual launch. Like thinking back, I didn't even do like any sort of launch because I was like, nope, I'm good. Like don't need to do that. But I totally recommend it now. I wish I would have. but I talk to family, I talk to friends, I just let people know that this is something that I started, and I was already sharing it on social media because I had already used the products and I was already like losing weight and getting healthier from the 30 days to healthy living. So that's a little bit different in my story where like I was already showing results. And so people were kind of attracted to that. So if you haven't done the 30 days to healthy living, I definitely recommend it. Track your progress so that you will have something to show for it, because people will see that and they'll want to know what it is you did. Okay, so I talked to family, I talked to friends. I kind of just continued to share on social media. I was really bad at it at first. Like every single post I did was about Arbonne, and I still go overboard a lot, but it's not as bad as it used to be. So I'm still working on that. So don't go overboard, but do it in a really professional way. And I just continued to share things. I continued to tell people about it, and people continued to see it in my lifestyle. Hold on one second. I just made it a part of me, basically. And so that's the biggest thing, I guess, that I would recommend is just make it a part of you, because people will then see that. It will like shine from you if you let Arbonne become you. That sounds really cheesy, but okay. So that was like my first couple of months where I was just like figuring everything out, and I was still on my own health journey. So I was still like using the products and like figuring out what I liked and jumping into using more and more of the products so that I could tell people about it, and I continued to share. Okay, so I pulled out like 5 things. These are in no specific order that I just think at the beginning of your business, it's good to know and understand and just kind of think about. And I'm sure these have all been said before, but this is just what I thought of. So number 1, when you're first getting started, plug into everything. So plug into the team calls, obviously preaching to the choir right here, but plug into the team calls, plug into training videos, plug into our text messages. Even if you have them on mute, make sure that you're reading them so you're up on what's happening, so you know the cool things that are happening in our businesses and also just in Arbonne. Look over the product info sheets, read through the source, like scour the source. This doesn't all have to be at once, but it can just be if you have like a 15-minute break, like watch a training video on your lunch break. I would literally sit at my job when I started, and I would watch training videos while I was eating my lunch, just because that's what I wanted to be doing. So do that. Read the emails that come through from Arbonne, because they have a lot of good information. And it also just kind of gets you excited for what's coming. So that's the first one. Plug in. Follow people on Instagram who are going to inspire you, like Emily said, who aren't going to like make you feel bad about your business, but who are going to inspire you to either want what they have or you like how they run their business. Okay, second one, which is pretty self-explanatory, but be consistent. I think that's so good. Like the 90-day thing, be consistent so that people understand that you're taking this seriously. I think what happens a lot is, if you seem wishy-washy, people are going to be like, I'm not, you know, they're not going to think that you're taking it seriously, like you're taking it like a business. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've done is I started taking this seriously, and I'm like, no, I'm actually doing this. Like I do Arbonne. And that has attracted more people who I didn't even know would be interested in Arbonne, just because I really do. This is something that I don't intend to ever stop. And so that's my second thing. Be consistent. When people see you're consistent, they'll know that you're serious about it. Okay. Sorry, hold on. Number 3, again, these are in no specific order, but just 5 things I thought of off the top of my head. Don't let fear stop you. And I think when I thought of this first, I was talking a lot about social media. I was really, really nervous about getting on social media and presenting myself in a way I didn't want people to think like, oh, I'm just trying to sell you this, or like, this is what I do, you should do it too. I didn't want people to perceive me in any sort of negative way. And so I was really, really nervous. The first time I did an Instagram live, I spilled my detox tea everywhere. Like I spilled it all over me at the very beginning of my live. So if I can recover from that, we can all do it. Yeah, so like don't think about how to make everything perfect. Don't think about what you could have done. I mean, yeah, think about what you could do better, but it doesn't have to be perfect is what I'm trying to say. What actually matters is that you're just doing it. And so now I feel very comfortable on social media and doing lives, and it's because of that. But now I think I was originally talking about social media, but now I think just in thinking about it, it can also be reaching out to people. Don't let the fear of what you think they're going to say stop you, right? We have to kind of internalize, we want them to want this, right? And so we have to think, all right, I'm going to send this message and they're going to be excited about it. And so I think that's really important too. Don't be afraid of what they're going to say. And then I'll kind of skip to my last one because it kind of goes into this. My fourth one is don't take offense. Don't take offense to things. So many times when I started my business in like the first 3 to 6 months, if people said no, I was like, oh, they hate me. I was like, they don't want to work with me. And of course that's not it. It's maybe it's not for them. Maybe they don't understand what Arbonne is, but I shut down so many times and I would not do anything for like a week because I got one no from someone. So don't take offense to it if someone says, yeah, I'm just really not interested. Or like if you get a cold, like hard no, which I have gotten, I'm like, oh, shoot. It's okay. It's all right. They just don't understand maybe, and they might be watching your stories for years or whatever. If they don't understand and it's not for them, then that's all right. And another thing I wrote down is like, sometimes even your closest friends won't understand what you're doing. It's taken me a year just to get my best friend to use skincare. So it's okay. She literally just put an order in last month. So a year from when I started, it's all right. Again, being consistent, it'll all come around. And so, the last thing I wanted to mention, and we have about like 4 minutes here or whatever. The last thing I wanted to mention, I heard this from Kristen Walter when we were at Impact in Chicago in September. One of the things she said, so my fifth thing is to just be excited. One of the things she said was when anyone asks you how your Arbonne business is going, you say, it's going amazing, right? And they don't know if you mean it's going amazingly horrible or if it's going amazingly well. You say, it's going amazing. Huge things are happening. We are so excited. And I think that's so important because the first couple of months in my business, I was like, I'm trying it out. Like, I think it's going really well. We're moving a little slow, but it's fine. Like, getting lots of good traction. No, like I should have been like, it's going awesome. You have to check it out. Right. And so I think that's just one of the biggest things because when we're excited about it, people are going to be excited about it and they're going to be attracted to that too. So my 5 things are just plug in, be consistent. Don't let fear stop you. Don't take offense by anything that anyone says, and then just be excited about everything that you're doing. And people will begin to latch on to that and they'll want to know more. So those are my 5.
Yes. I don't know if you guys saw me, but I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Some of those were so good, Alyssa. Thank you so much for sharing. That was like pure gold. And yeah, that was perfect. You guys, seriously, you take those things to heart and start putting them into action in your business. That's what these are for. I want to roll off of 2 things that you said. We might have a minute or so for questions, but yeah, but you guys, with what Alyssa is saying, I wanted to touch on the plugging in part because you guys, these are like a team huddle. Like this is just my team, right? Which we do all absolutely love each other and we're like really great friends, which I do love having these. But you guys, Lisa Voorhees is our national vice president. If you don't know how big of a deal that is, it's a big deal. Like she speaks at our global training conferences on stage and rocked the house. Like if you tell someone your upline is Lisa Voorhees in Arbonne, they're like, oh my gosh, I love her. She's amazing. And Lisa does a Sunday skills training and a Saturday team call. Like she's putting stuff on all the time. So these are great team huddles with little reminders and little things that are happening in our personal team. But there's tons of calls in there, and she has guests come on that are huge national vice presidents. So plug into all of it, and you guys don't be overwhelmed by it. If you're getting overwhelmed, pick the most important and helpful ones to you. But if you have time and you want to see a difference in your business and you're ready to commit to this, then I totally recommend getting on those too. Yeah, they're just awesome. It's full of so much stuff. And with the whole idea of attitude, I want to just attach one more thing onto this with being excited. You guys, be decided. I just watched a training call. If you want it, I will send it to you. I bawled my eyes out watching it today because it was so good. I sent it to a couple people. But you guys, she talked about being decided and what that meant for her business. because she was not decided when she first started if this was going to be her thing. If she really was going to do Arbonne. She was like, yeah, I'm checking it out. I've been in district, I've been in area. It's kind of good. This might happen. And she actually quit. And she rejoined because she knew she needed this for her and her future family. But when she knew she needed it and she was decided that she was going to do Arbonne, guess what happened? She went into Region Qual in like 14 days. That's $40,000 of sales within like 2 weeks, you guys. She had 2,000 QV for the first half of the month, you guys. We all do that. Like, we can do that. If she can do it, we can do it, okay? So I just want to leave that with you guys, is have a decided heart, because if you decide, people will notice and your interactions will be amazing because you've decided, and they'll recognize that, and it'll just make them go really, really well. So if you want that call, let me know. I think this is about to end. So